There comes a time in every life when the familiar loses its flavor, when the things that used to satisfy you no longer quench your thirst, when the doors that once swung wide open suddenly close with no explanation. That is not a sign that you are forsaken. It is a sign that your season has shifted. You cannot live forever in the comfort of yesterday when destiny is calling you into tomorrow. When God shifts your season, He begins to stir your spirit. You can't rest the same, you can't settle the same, because something inside of you knows that change is coming. It may not look like it yet, but you feel it in the whispers of your soul. You sense it in the uneasiness of your routine. The old patterns no longer fit you because you've outgrown them. You cannot expect to walk in the new while clinging to the old. When God shifts your season, people who were once necessary for your journey may no longer walk beside you. Do not weep over who walked away because they were part of the last chapter, not the next one. God will never subtract without adding, never move without purpose. Stop chasing doors that He has already shut, and stop crying over tables where your chair has been removed. If you are attentive, you will see that the same God who closed that door is already preparing another one that leads higher, further, deeper. When God shifts your season, He begins to reposition you. Things may look scattered, but He is rearranging pieces that no longer served your future. What you thought was rejection was really redirection. What felt like loss was actually preparation. Do not curse the disruption. It is a divine invitation. When God shifts your season, storms will rise not to break you, but to shake you out of stagnation. The winds that blow against you are the very winds that will carry you into new dimensions. Do not mistake opposition for abandonment. The presence of pressure is proof that something powerful is being birthed. Diamonds are formed in pressure, champions are revealed in struggle, and destinies are awakened in storms. When God shifts your season, you must have the courage to move. You cannot drag your old mentality into your new reality. You cannot expect new fruit from old soil. Transformation requires transition, and transition demands trust. Trust the one who orchestrates time, who holds tomorrow, who has already written the ending before your beginning. Your season has shifted. This is not the time to look back. This is not the time to shrink into fear. This is the time to rise, to stretch, to walk into rooms you thought were too big for you, to embrace assignments you once felt unqualified for. Heaven has shifted the atmosphere, and if you dare to believe it, your life is about to bear witness to the power of divine transition, ChatGPT said. There are moments in life when you begin to feel a stirring that you cannot quite explain, a restlessness that will not let you stay where you are, a pull that seems to drag you beyond the limits of what you've always known. That is not confusion. That is not chaos. That is the evidence that God is shifting your season. What used to work no longer works. What used to fit now feels too small. The doors that once opened so easily are now sealed shut. You may think something is wrong, but what is happening is that you have outgrown your old environment, and God will not allow you to stay trapped in a season that cannot hold the weight of your destiny. When seasons change in the natural, you can feel it in the air. The temperature shifts, the leaves begin to move, the very atmosphere changes. Spiritually, the same thing happens when God ushers you into transition. The places where you once felt comfortable suddenly become uncomfortable. The conversations that used to inspire you now feel shallow. The company you used to keep no longer speaks to your spirit. That is not rejection, that is revelation. It is proof that what you needed for yesterday is not what you will need for tomorrow. And if you try to hold on to what was, you will miss the beauty of what is being prepared. Sometimes the shift comes suddenly without warning. One day everything feels steady, and the next day the ground beneath you shakes. But sudden change is often the evidence of divine acceleration. God has a way of moving quickly when He is ready to release you into a new dimension. Do not curse the abrupt endings. Do not despise the sudden closures. He is not punishing you. He is positioning you. The people who walked away were never meant to complete your journey. The opportunities that dried up were never meant to carry you into destiny. Stop chasing what has expired. Stop longing for what was. If it had the capacity to take you into the future, it would have stayed with you. When God shifts your season, He begins to rearrange everything around you, and often it looks messy. Pieces fall out of place, things scatter, routines are disrupted. But if you look closely, you will see that He is not destroying you, He is reconstructing you. Just as a builder tears down a wall before adding new space, God removes before He increases. What you call loss, He calls preparation. What you see as a setback, He calls foundation. The delay you are fighting against is not denial, it is design. He knows how much weight your next season carries, and He will not let you step into it without building the strength you need to sustain it. The shift also comes with resistance. Storms will rise up, winds will blow against you, and challenges will press on every side. But do not mistake opposition for abandonment. Pressure is often the proof of promise. The same wind that tries to knock you down is the wind that lifts the eagle higher. The same storm that threatens to break you is the storm that reveals how strong your roots really are. Every tear you've cried, every battle you've fought, every disappointment you've endured is a tool in the hand of God to prepare you for what's ahead. There is a new sound in the air, and your spirit feels it. You cannot settle for mediocrity. You cannot hide in the shadows of fear. You cannot keep shrinking to fit into spaces you have outgrown. This is a season of expansion, a season of stretching, a season of elevation. The shift is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. The ground is shaking, but it is only making room for new growth. The doors are closing, but it is only so you will walk through the ones you were created for. The people are leaving, but it is only so the right ones can arrive. You may not understand it now, but when God shifts your season, it is always to take you further than you ever imagined. There comes a time when the rhythm of your life begins to change, when the things that once satisfied you no longer bring fulfillment, when the places that once felt like home begin to feel foreign, when the routines you mastered start to feel too small for who you are becoming. That shift is not random, it is not accidental. It is the hand of God signaling that your season has changed. You cannot stay where you were and walk into where you are called to be. The transition is often uncomfortable because it stretches you out of what is familiar, but comfort zones are graveyards for destiny. What used to hold you is now breaking because it can no longer contain you. When the season changes, you will often sense it before you see it. Something in your spirit begins to stir, whispering that more is on the horizon even when nothing around you seems to confirm it. You find yourself restless in the presence of what once felt normal. You sit in conversations that once gave you life, but now they feel draining. You try to return to old habits, but they no longer taste the same. That inner discontent is not a problem to fix, it is a signal to follow. God never allows the soil of your yesterday to feed the roots of your tomorrow. If you feel the uneasiness, it is because He is pushing you out of the nest so that you can learn to fly. A seasonal shift is not always easy to accept because it often comes wrapped in loss. People who walked with you in one season may not have the strength to climb with you into the next. Relationships that felt like they would last forever may suddenly break. Opportunities you thought were permanent may collapse overnight. Do not let grief blind you to the greater truth. When someone exits, it is because their assignment in your life has been completed. When a door closes, it is because that room no longer has space for your growth. God subtracts to multiply. He prunes to increase. He cuts away not to wound, but to prepare you for greater fruit. Shifting seasons also bring tests. Pressure rises, obstacles increase, and resistance intensifies because every new level demands a greater version of you. You cannot enter the new with the same strength you carried in the old. Resistance is not your enemy, it is your trainer. The storm that seems determined to sink your boat is the very storm that reveals the authority you carry over the winds and waves. The mountain that looks impossible is the very mountain that will reveal the power of faith inside of you. God allows the pressure because he knows the promise waiting on the other side. Do not be surprised when things feel scattered, when what was secure feels shaken, when what was predictable feels unstable. A shift is rarely neat. The process looks messy because he is uprooting what cannot stay and replanting what must grow. Just as seasons in nature require old leaves to fall before new life can sprout, your spiritual seasons require things to be stripped away so new strength, new vision, new purpose can be revealed. What feels like chaos is often divine order rearranging itself around your destiny. When God shifts your season, your faith is demanded at a higher level. You cannot walk into the new clinging to the comfort of sight. You must learn to trust what you cannot see. You must believe that even in the silence, he is speaking. Even in the darkness, he is working. Even in the delays, he is designing. Trust becomes the bridge that carries you across the gap between where you are and where you are going. This is the moment where you let go of the familiar shore and step into the unknown waters, believing that the same God who called you is the same God who will keep you. This is the season where you stop trying to fit into places you have outgrown, where you refuse to shrink just to make others comfortable, where you no longer apologize for the weight of the calling on your life. This is the season where stretching becomes your new normal, where breaking away from the old becomes necessary for embracing the new, where uncertainty is no longer your enemy, but your companion as you walk into new territory. The shift has already happened, and everything around you is testifying that your life is being positioned for something greater than you have ever seen before. There comes a point in your journey where you begin to feel the tension between where you have been and where you are going. A holy disruption that will not let you remain in the comfort of yesterday. That tension is not punishment, it is transition. It is the undeniable evidence that God is shifting your season. When a shift begins, the old places no longer sustain you. The old conversations no longer inspire you. And the old rhythms no longer carry you. You sense deep within that something greater is stirring, and though you cannot fully name it, you know you cannot ignore it. A shift often announces itself through discomfort. What used to be enough now feels too small. What once gave you peace now feels unsettling. The tables where you once sat begin to reject your presence, not because you are unworthy, but because you have outgrown them. God will never allow you to stay confined in a space that does not match the weight of your destiny. He disturbs your comfort to awaken your calling. He unsettles your spirit to remind you that there is more. He closes doors not to wound you, but to force you to look for the ones he has already prepared. Sometimes the shift is slow, like the gradual turning of seasons in nature. Other times it is sudden, as if everything you relied on collapses in a moment. Both are divine, both are intentional. The slow shift gives you time to adjust, but the sudden shift forces you to trust. Do not despise either, for whether slow or sudden, both are designed to propel you into what eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. When the sudden change comes, resist the urge to cling to what was. Let go with confidence, knowing that the author of your story has already written the next chapter. In the midst of transition, it is easy to misinterpret what is happening. You may call it rejection, but it is really redirection. You may call it loss, but it is actually preparation. You may call it delay, but it is divine timing. What looks like an ending is often the seed of a beginning. A tree cannot bear fruit unless first it endures the falling of leaves. In the same way, Your life cannot yield its full harvest without seasons where things are stripped away. If you only saw the stripping, you would despair, but if you understand the purpose of the season, you will know that the pruning is proof of coming abundance. Do not be surprised if people who once walked with you begin to distance themselves. Do not mourn over relationships that fade or doors that lock. Every person is tied to a season, and when the season changes, some connections will not follow. That does not diminish their value. It simply means their assignment is complete. You must release them with gratitude rather than hold on with bitterness, for clinging to what is over will blind you to what is arriving. Trust that for every voice that exits, a new voice will enter. For every opportunity that closes, another will open. For every loss that shakes you, there is a gain waiting to strengthen you. The winds of adversity that rise against you in this shifting season are not sent to destroy you but to carry you. The eagle cannot soar without the storm, and neither can you. Pressure reveals power. Struggle reveals strength. Delay builds endurance. If you feel surrounded by trials, it is because heaven is equipping you for elevation. You cannot enter into greater without the weight of greater preparation. Every battle, every tear, every disappointment is sharpening you for the doors that are about to open. This is a season where faith must rise above sight. The landscape may look barren, but the seed beneath the soil is alive. The doors may seem closed, but the keys are already in your hand. The night may feel long, but dawn is inevitable. You must lean into the unseen, trust the process, and step boldly into the unknown. You cannot shrink to fit the expectations of the old season. You cannot stay anchored in what no longer serves you. You cannot silence the voice of destiny calling you forward. The shift is happening. The atmosphere is changing, and everything around you is preparing to reveal the new thing that has been ordained for your life.